A very good morning and welcome back to another daily market outlook. So euro dollar has pushed down in towards this daily area of demand. So we're now trying to identify, is euro dollar ready for a push back in towards the upside, which will facilitate that pullback, or are we just going to continue crashing down lower? So looking here at the daily time frame, we can very clearly see that we grab liquidity above this high. After grabbing liquidity above the high, we saw a daily change of character. So we saw a push in towards the upside, push down, pushing towards the upside, now a pullback in towards here, which is inside this daily area of demand. So now obviously after breaking fractal structure, you would expect, for example, a pullback in towards this area of supply, but we need lower time frame confirmation in order to understand if that pullback is going to happen. So what I then do is I go in towards the 4-hour time frame and I try to identify, is the 4-hour ready for a pullback? Now there are two ways to understand that the market is ready to pull back. That is, one, you're inside a higher time frame area of demand, such as now, so inside this daily area of demand. And then second, we wait for a lower time frame trend shift, because if you just randomly start buying inside demand on the very best first bullish candle, you see you will get stopped out. So what do is that we look for trend or for a trend to change, so a market structure shift. So coming in towards the downside, we had our first initial break of structure here, then we had our second break of structure here, now we've had our third break of structure here. So at the moment, our current fractal high is the high of this bearish candle over here, and this is now your protected high. So I'm waiting for that high to go in order to confirm that euro dollar does indeed want to push up higher. Okay, so we are obviously seeing slowdown in towards the downside. It is NFP day today, guys, so keep that in mind. Anything can happen. Euro dollar could fly to the moon, but it could also dump in towards hell. So it's a little bit of a guessing game, but if you want to trade this NFP, then obviously understand that we just follow the overall trend, and if we break the trend, that we then anticipate that there's going to be a shift, right? So I'm not saying trade NFP, but what you could ultimately do and could check out is obviously a long in towards the upside if we start breaking 4-hour fractal structure, or a short in towards the downside if we start breaking the fractal structure again in towards the downside. So that is what I'm looking for at the moment on euro dollar, looking for fractal structure shift or for trend continuation in towards the downside. So for now, only shorts are on the table. Yesterday there was again a very nice short on the 15-minute time frame, not gonna lie. If we just zoom back out a little bit again, what you can very clearly see is that we had a break of structure over here. We came in towards this area of supply. Inside of here we had a change of character. We pull back in towards this area of supply, and from there we sell off in towards the downside. So a nice little setup there on EURUSD. Now again, just looking for downside continuation as long as that fractal structure remains bearish. Yeah, we're not looking for any longs just yet, waiting for this high to go if we want to take any longs. Just remember, with NFP we can obviously just swipe the high and grab liquidity and then push back down, but ultimately if you see like strong momentum go in towards the upside, and we see indeed, okay, we're breaking structure over here, then we could look for those longs. Overall pattern here is descending corrective after an overextended move down. So more often than not does this indeed lead to a correction up, but we need just to follow market structure. So if we break market structure, that could provide that pullback. Now going in towards the dollar index has grabbed all the liquidity above the highs as expected, guys. So some great analysis here done on the dollar. Obviously we had so many equal highs that it did make a lot of sense to grab the liquidity above the highs after again grabbing liquidity underneath this swing low over here. So a nice little trade here on the dollar in towards the upside. Now that we've grabbed liquidity above the highs, this is now the moment to see euro dollar potentially dump in towards the downside. At the moment for NFP, there are 3 zones. We have zone number 1 over here, which is your sell for that big buy in towards the highs, this area of consolidation. If we come in towards there, this should cause, let's say, some support forming on the dollar. If we do push up higher, then my ultimate target is 103,600 with this liquidity still open and this being a strong area of supply. So that's my ultimate target, with obviously expecting some slowdown in here. So yeah, keeping that in mind and on watch for the dollar. For the rest, do I have a real bias? Well, obviously, if you zoom out, you can very clearly see that we're in a strong area of consolidation, support, 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 support. Now, again, we're seeing support forming. So it would make sense, in my opinion, for the dollar to push up higher. But who knows with NFP, maybe a dump first after a whole bullish rally throughout the entire week. Going into AUDUSD, what are we seeing over there? So AUDUSD has pushed down lower. Again, we're just following the overall 4-hour order flow, and that is showing us that AUDUSD wants to push down lower until now. Obviously, I've explained this all in yesterday's video, but we came in towards the highs correctively. Every single time we had a change of character, we only saw a wick break, and then we pushed down, pulled back in towards supply, pushed back down, pulled back in towards supply, and now again, we're pushing back down. So your current supply zone is this buy before the sell-off, so just keep an eye on this supply zone for any potential further downside. If with NFP we break that area of supply, then I will be interested in longs, but for now the order flow here on the 4-hour time frame is bearish, so I'm only interested in potential shorts. The daily is still a little bit indecisive because the daily fractal structure is still bullish, but if we look left, we can very clearly see that we came in towards a strong swing high where a lot of liquidity is resting above. But yeah, that is what I'm looking at on Aussie dollar. Following the overall order flow on the 4-hour for now is my main focus, and we should see further downside as long as the order flow here is respected. Going into pound dollar, what are we seeing from that pair? Well, pound dollar actually started to pull back. Very interesting. If we look at the daily here, daily came in towards the extreme. So with the extreme, I mean, this is your low, this is your high. So overall, obviously, we are bullish. Now, this is the correction that we were looking for. We got the correction in towards this daily demand zone. So then again, very similar to euro dollar, you're then looking to understand, okay, the overall momentum here on pound dollar is extremely bearish, right? So we see the push down, very small correction, push down. So why is it not just, again, a small correction and then another push down? Now, how you can identify that this is now the potential pullback. Again, on the 4-hour, preferably you would swipe the low one more time, because a 4-hour change of character is always going to be stronger than a 1-hour change of character, for example. But at the moment, we are inside daily demand. 4-hour is not really showing its hand, so then I go in towards the 1-hour time frame. What do I see on the 1-hour? Well, we broke the fractal structure. Pretty weak, I'm not going to lie. But this was your fractal high. And what happened yesterday actually was that this became your fractal high, because this high broke the low over here. So then what happened, we saw a market structure shift. So we came in towards downside pullback, downside pullback, downside in towards this low. Then we pushed up. We formed an area of demand inside this imbalance, and then you see, boom, we shoot back up again. So some very, very interesting price action. Now this morning, what happened? We formed demand and we've pushed back up again. So yeah, who knows? The overall momentum is definitely now bullish on the 1-hour time frame. If we look at fractal structure, because obviously it's just looking at individual candlesticks, but if we can actually see some structure forming, who knows, we might start looking for some longs and yeah, trade that correction up higher. So there is an indication that pound dollar wants to push up higher, but it's very weak still, because it's just on the 1-hour time frame. If you want the better confirmation, obviously you need to be looking at the 4-hour, and the 4-hour, I would preferably see one more swipe down and then the change of character on the 4-hour for those optimal longs, because the 4-hour change of character is just stronger than a 1-hour change of character. But if you want to be more aggressive, then obviously you can trade that 1-hour change of character and just follow the overall order flow in towards the upside, okay? And look for a fractal structure on the 1-hour and trade that up higher. Going into Kiwi dollar, one of my favorite pairs, not gonna lie. We saw this dump coming from a mile away. If we look at the daily once again, daily swing high taken out, then what do we see? We see wick rejections in towards the upside, so we fail to close above this fractal high. Only with wicks we break above it, indicating very weak bearish momentum. Then here, after breaking the blue line, we have a daily fractal structure change. Then you go in towards the 4-hour time frame, and what do you identify? Also the 4-hour time frame here breaking the lows. Yeah, yesterday or on Wednesday, we saw a beautiful pullback in towards that supply, and since then it's just been selling off down lower. Now obviously it's pretty overextended in the sense that it's hard to still get into this. I personally don't like really getting into these kind of positions this late in the run, so yeah, optimally you just want to let it go. The best trades are obviously taken here upon bearish confirmation of coming in towards a nice supply zone. Now for now, if you just view the overall order flow, you can very clearly see that we're just reacting to every buy before the sell, like this one over here, like this one over here, like this one over here. like this one over here, you can very clearly see we're just following the order flow down. So just continue to do so. Be nice and aggressive with NZDUSD, because I personally don't see any real demand zones that can really cause it to reverse. I just see a lot of liquidity underneath these lows. So a nice trendline break in towards the downside, but obviously it's much farther or further in the leg. So it's just getting lower and lower probability for shorts. It would be better for it to pull back. But then again, with NFP, what are we going to be looking for? Well, what I'll look for is optimally a short inside this supply zone on NZDUSD and then target that fresh area of demand, for example, over there. So keep your eyes open for that. But again, I'll look for lower time frame confirmation. Going into gold, last of all, what is gold doing? Gold pushed up higher. We had a beautiful long yesterday in the community, guys. We discussed this actually on the live stream of yesterday. So overall trend in towards the upside. Over here, we had the downside correction. Then we broke in towards the upside again. Then this is your low. This is your high. What happens? We build up liquidity with all these equal lows right above this area of demand, and then from that demand zone you reverse in towards the highs. So this was actually shared as a signal inside our Discord, so you can see actually that yesterday I passed the phase 1, so I'm now in the phase 2 of this 100k account, and we also passed another phase 2 as well. So all done live within our Discord with full transparency. Make sure to join, links in the description down below if you want to see how we do it. We just do it with, again, full transparency, unlike anybody else in this space. So yeah, join. Still looking for further upside on gold and expecting higher prices. For now, this 1 hour order flow is to be followed in towards the highs. Keep an eye on the 4-hour time frame. 4-hour time frame is now inside this area of demand, so I am looking for longs from this demand zone. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. Wish you all a fantastic trading day. Have fun trading NFP. We'll go live inside Discord, and I'll see you there.